We know that the budget is going to be tight for the 2012 Farm Bill. In part, that's kind of why we're going ahead and looking at this a little bit early. What are the realities of that tight budget and what that could mean with direct payments or anything else that's within that Farm Bill?
Well, agriculture is our #1 industry in Montana. It really propels our state's economy. So the Farm Bill coming up soon, I want to make sure that we get the very best provisions possible, the most relevant to Montana. And that also gets into budget cuts. We have a huge budget deficit in our country, and we want to make sure, we in Montana want to make sure that efforts to reduce spending, as there should be, are done fairly, and make sure that agriculture in rural America is not hurt, for the benefit of the cities. So it's just, it's a little early yet, don't quite know where the budget cuts are going to be. And the Farm Bill is not going to be written probably until next year. But I want to get ahead of the game. I want to get a head start, and so we know what we're doing, and what we're doing is the right thing to do.
And right now, of course, it's a challenge for agriculture, as we've got a Farm Bill being written in a time where commodity prices will hopefully still be high even next year when we write that, and at a time when the recession, when we're coming back from that, and we know that the food programs are going to be still asking for as much money. How is this all going to play in, and what proportion do you see those cuts possibly taking place there?
We're pretty lucky right now with fairly high commodity prices nationwide, which certainly helps us in Montana. It's livestock, it's grain, we're very lucky. Now the trick, though, is for us to remember that prices are not always high. They sometimes fall. And so a Farm Bill has to be written that takes that into consideration, that takes advantage of the highs and the lows and so forth. We want to make sure that if and when times are bad, we hope it doesn't happen, but it might, that the program in place makes sense.
And the sugar program, I know it seemed to be a thorn in the side, at least for one individual that was in that meeting. I've heard that at some of the national meetings as well. I've also heard that lobby effort for the sugar producers is so strong that a lot of people aren't going to be they're going to be pretty careful to touch that, I guess. Is that what you've seen as well in D.C.?
I think our sugar allotment program works pretty well. The price of sugar today is pretty high. It's about 55 cents, I think, whereas the price in the bill that would trigger certain non-recourse provisions is down around 24 cents. So we're doing pretty well. Basically, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Most people think our current sugar program, both for beet and for cane, isn't broken, so we probably shouldn't worry about fixing it too much. But at the same time, always be aware of what's going on around the world and seeing what's happening to sugar worldwide, so that we are not caught flat-footed.
And Senator Baucus, we have meetings like this. You said here it's probably the first of many. I know you've got another in Miles City tonight. What is the best way for folks to look at what they want in the Farm Bill? Is it to analyze what they have currently from FSA and go to the grower groups, to go to the FSA offices? I mean, what is the best way to get that bottom-up approach to you as far as what the producers on the ground want and need? I
very much look forward to hearing from as many people as I possibly can. I'm the only member of the Montana Congressional Delegation that's on an agriculture committee. And so I'll be in the room when this bill is written. And I want to make sure it's written in a way that makes sense for our state. So I just keep encouraging people to talk to me personally, write, call, and so forth. I give them my personal email address, not my office, my personal. I tell people, write me. It's Max Baucus at earthlink.net. I give my personal telephone number, 202-224-4375. I say work in your organizations, whether it's farm bureaus, farmer union, beet growers, or whatever it is, because the more I hear from home, the more I hear from my employers, the people I work for, the more likely it is we're going to have a lot better bill.
And Senator Baucus, before we even get into this bill, there's been a lot of threats in D.C. about cuts to the current Farm Bill that we're working under as we try to manage the budget. Is that a reality, or are those just threats?
I don't think there'll be cuts to the current program at all this year. I want to be technical what they're calling it. Mostly they'd be entitlement provisions, and I don't think the Congress is going to do that. Right, we do have to cut spending. That is clear. And we cut budget deficits. It's going to have to make sure it's across the board, it's fair, equally shared by people, but also in a smart way. Some provisions are more important than some other provisions, and we have to make sure that we don't, just blindly just go across the board with cuts when it might really hurt something that's really important to America. But we got to be smart. These are a lot of balancing here. I got to listen from people, but I come back to an earlier point, which is the more I hear from home, from all kinds of people, all across the state, the better I'll make the right decisions, and that goes for everybody in our delegation. It's myself, it's the others in our delegation, it's all of us.
And last question, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this. Of course, I'm from northeastern Montana. The monument issue, the wildlands designations are huge. You said that whoever barks the largest is going to get the most coverage in D.C., and you've definitely heard that bark. What can you say for those folks that are interested?
I will not allow there to be a monument, period. I know how ridiculous it would be for a monument status to be declared up in northeast Montana, the CMR, wherever it might be, and I've made it clear to the Secretary of Interior, made it clear to the White House. Don't think I've talked personally to the President yet, but I don't care. I'm not going to let it happen. It will not happen.
All right. Thank you so much again, Senator Baucus.
You bet.